All right, class. What we're going to do today is we're going to take and do a few exercises, kind of getting you used to being able to code and translate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some code, some pseudocode, and then I want to help you translate that over into a program. All right. So let's go ahead and start with loading up Eclipse. Now, one of the things you need to be aware of is I'm using an Apple. Doesn't really matter. I'm also even using Eclipse Neon. Doesn't really matter for what we're doing. For my workspace, I'm going to make it on my desktop here. So I'll go ahead and let that create it. It's going to create a program right up here called Java Programs. Let me turn off there we go, turn off my camera. So right here is where it is. And now I'm going to go ahead and kind of make this nice and big for everybody to see. Make it just a little bit bigger here. There we go. And so again, over here on the left, this is the Package Explorer. And in the center here, this is where all of our code is going to show up. And there's a lot of other things that are going on, but that's the gist of it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about a few of the algorithms. So let's have a look at this. This is the answers to the practice problems. So in chapter 2, section 222, which if you have a look, that is on page, that is on page, starting on page 223. Okay, so these particular ones that I'll first look at is on page 51, practice problems in 222. So the question says, write the pseudocode to get 3 data values, x, y, and z, as inputs, and outputs the average of those 3 values. So right here, we see here's the solution. Get the values for x, y, and z. Then we're going to set the values of average to x plus y plus z divided by 3, and then we're going to print that value. Now the one thing that I would like to add in here is right here, truly they should have a print statement in here. So I don't know if I'm allowed to write in here. Let me see if I can write in here. I can't, and that's okay, but I should be able to write here just before that. There should be a print, get the value, enter the value for x, and then get the value for x. All right, so we're going to do that over in our pseudocode. So let's go ahead and kind of get started over here. Hide that off. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a new package. So if you remember, we're going to go to File. We're going to say New Java Project. And I'm going to call this particular project, let me see what I want to call it. Basic input, because we're doing a little bit more here. So this will be basic input. I'm going to not use any spaces, just so we're kind of not getting used to using any spaces. So after we've done that, if you remember inside of, let me bring this in, inside of our Java folder, we're going to see a basic input folder, and inside of there is where all of our files are going to go. So as we create new things, I'll set this off to the side, and you'll kind of see that that begins to grow. So the next thing we need is we need a new class. And I'm going to call this class basic in. And then don't forget to click on public static void main. So all we're doing right now, we're not translating, we're just doing very basic setup for our overall program. Now notice over here on the left, some things will start showing up. For example, this basic in.java will be in the source, src. And bin, that means binary. All right, so that's an actual class. Bin means binary, src means source. So this is the text stuff that I'm seeing right here. All right, I'll put that away because we won't need it anymore. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to comment out, so we don't lose these curly brackets, we're going to comment out how everything ties together. So this will be end main method. How do I know that's a method? Because a class contains methods. So here's the beginning of my class, and here's the end of my class. And everything in between is the methods. So here I'm going to put end basic in class. All right. Now at this point, I know that classes contain methods and methods contain blocks of executable code. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to give myself some space, and this is where I'm going to put my code. But I still have some setup. One of the first things I need to do is I need to ask a library, a Java library, for some help. So I'm going to import java.util.scanner. All right, so I'm going to import that in. Now what that's going to do is that's going to enable me to get some external values relatively easy. So next thing we need to do is we need to declare or instantiate our objects and declare our variables. So when we instantiate an object, that means that we're creating an object. In this case, we need to create a scanner object. Right now, I just kind of want you to do as I say, and then repeat it on your own projects later on down the road. So for now, because you'll understand this stuff better later. So right now, I want to say scanner KB input. So that means I'm going to create an object. The identifier name is KB input, and I'm going to set that equal to new. And then that's going to be of type scanner, and then I'm going to say parentheses system dot in. All right, again, this is all set up, and I'm going to put this up here at the top. Go change that around. That should clear that up. So there's my objects, and here are my variables. Remember, variables are, that's right, named storage locations. So for this particular thing, I need 3 variables. I need an x, a y, and a z. All right, again, looking at the answers to the practice problems, I need an x, I need a y, and a z. Right? Get values for x, y, and z. So I need to start thinking about what variables do I need. I'm going to make all of my variables double. All right, now there's a lot of different data types. You have int, which stores whole numbers. You have doubles and floats, which store numbers with a decimal place, all right, fractions of numbers. In this case, I want to say double x, and then I'm going to put a semicolon. Those of you that know how to do inline declaration, you can feel free to do that, but we're not going to teach you that yet. I want to say double y, then I'm going to say double z. Again, still all set up. All right. So now I have all of my setup done. If I come back here and I look at what are the inputs that I need, x, y, and z, I'm kind of good to go. So now we're going to start translating. Okay. So let me see if I can get this to move a little bit. Kind of get that, and I'll shrink that down just a little bit so you can kind of see what's going on just a little bit here. There we go. That should take care of us. So I want to say the following. I want to prompt the user. I want to say, please enter a value for x. So system.out.println. System.out.println. The ln means line. That's an L. It's not a 1. All right. Remember, Java is case sensitive. So if mine is lowercase, yours should be lowercase. If mine is uppercase, yours should be uppercase. So system.out.println, parenthesis quote, please enter a value for, just a value for x. All right. I'll put a quote and then a semicolon, and there I am. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to put a wait in for the user to interact with my system. And that's going to be the get. Okay, that's going to be the get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say x equals, all right, after I say x equals, I want to say kbn. So I'm calling on that scanner that I created above, that scanner object. So I want to kbn dot kbn put dot. As soon as I hit dot, our variable data type is double, so I want next double. And I recommend not selecting yet. Okay, just don't select yet. Hit enter, type it all in. And now what we've done is we've prompted the user, please enter a value for x, and taken their input and put it into x. So watch. I'm going to go ahead and run this. To run, we're going to right click on our program. We're going to go run as Java application. Right? Go ahead and save that. Down here in the bottom, notice it say please enter a value for x. It's waiting. I want to put in 10, and my program now terminates. All right. So let's keep following through here. Next thing we need to do is get y and z. So you're going to do the exact same thing. Don't copy and paste. You need practice. So system.out.println, parenthesis quote, please enter a value, not a cow value for y. And then a semicolon. Daggone it. I've been on a Windows computer all day, so I keep messing around here. There we go. And then I want to do the same thing. I'm going to mimic this statement right here, okay, for y. So I'm going to say y equals kb input dot. And there's that next double. Again, write it all out. I know I'm taking some shortcuts, but you should write it out. You can always pause this video. And then I need to mimic it one more time. And by the way, I want to come up here and I want to put a line comment in. This is, I don't even have to put, let's put input so we can remember where we're at. And then I want to say system.out.println. Again, now I want to do please, capital P, enter a value for z. All right, and then finally I want to say z equals kb input. By the way, notice that sometimes I have a space, sometimes I don't. When it comes to a space here between the z and the equals, it will ignore that white space. But anytime we're referring to identifier, make sure that you're paying attention. So I'm going to put in next double, and there we go. So now I'm going to pause and I'm going to run my program again. Why I'm not doing any processing yet, I should have some proper input. 10, 20, 30. Look at that, my program terminates. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the input over here. So in this case, it says to set the value of average to x plus y plus c divided by 3. It looks like I missed a variable. I missed average. So I'm going to come up here into my variables. I'm going to add another variable in of type double. Whatever you put into a variable, you need to make sure it's the data type of whatever is coming in. Okay, that storage container has to be the same. So I'm going to make a new one called average. All right, I'm going to come back down and now I want to say processing. This is a line comment again. By the way, a block comment, you say /* and you end with */. And anything between this delimiter /* and */, the ending delimiter, will be ignored by the, I don't know why my computer's running so slow. It'll all be ignored by the system. Okay? All right. So processing, I'm going to go ahead and delete my block comment, and I want to say average. By the way, take note of how nice and lined up everything is. Average equals x plus y plus z. Now, I want to use parentheses to group this, right? because order of precedence says that we do multiplication and division before we do addition and subtraction. So x plus y plus z. So add those together and divide it by 3. Okay? And there we go. There's my processing. So let's say that I put in 10, 10, 10. 10 plus 10 plus 10 is 30. Divided by 3 is 10. So in average should be 10. Then the last thing I'm going to do is my output. In my output, I'm going to use a system.out.println, because if we look back over here, it says print the value of average. We're going to be very strict right now. It says print the value of average, so I'm just going to print the average, print the value of average. All right. So system.out.println. I want to be a little bit more descriptive. I'm going to say your average is, okay. Now if you know how to use the concatenating operator, you feel free to do that, but right now we're not going to learn that, okay. So system.out.println, your average is, and then we'll output system.out.println. Now, quotes say that it's a literal. Anything that goes inside of the quotes will output exactly what's in there. That's the literal. We want to output the value of a variable. So we're going to say average. So system.out.println, I spelled average wrong. There we go. That should clean that up. Now at this point, I should be able to run my program. It's going to ask me to save it. And I'm going to use my test data. 10, 10, 10, processes, averages, 10. Let's run it again. Let's do 10, 15, 14, and there's my average. And then that's a correct average too. All right. So there we go. We have now taken the time. Let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. We've taken the time to understand how to walk through this, and we should be able to kind of apply this to any of the other programs that we have. So I'm helping you be able to translate what we're doing here. You're going to actually translate your algorithms that you're creating for all of the exercises at the end of Chapter 2 into individual programs later on down the road. So that's basic input. Now let's do another one of these where we're going to do an if-then-else statement. So I'm going to come over and I'm going to look through, and I see in section 2.2.3 there's a if x is greater than 0 then, so this is my solution. All right, so this is on page, give me just a moment. This is on page 61, and on page 61 it says write an if-then-else statement that sets the variable of y to the value 1 if x is greater than 0. If x is less than 0, then the statement should set y to the value of 2. Assume x already has a value. All right. Now there's some other ones in here too. Maybe we should do some other ones. Nah, we'll go ahead and do this one. Or actually, we could build on, maybe we'll do number 2, because number 2 builds on what we did before. All right. So we're going to do the same thing that we did before, but we're going to build on it. All right. So it's going to say, get the value of x, y, and z. This one is write an algorithm that gets the input of 3 data values, x, y, and z, and outputs the average of those values. If the value of x is positive, if the value of x is either 0 or negative, your algorithm should not compute the average, but should print an error message, bad data. So we already know how to get the value of x, y, and z. We did it right here. So this is the beauty of code. We do a lot of copying. All right. So there's my x, y, and my z. If x is greater than 0, then set the value of x of average to x plus y plus z divided by 3, and then print the average. Otherwise, print a message, bad data. All right. So we're going to do that one because it's going to capitalize on what we've already done right here, the different things we've done. So here we go. We're going to start all over. We're going to make a whole new program. So again, we go to File, New, Java Project. We're going to call this Basic Conditional. Because remember, conditionals are if statements. Hold on. Sorry about that. I forgot this was kind of big. Let's see here. Making sure you can see everything. All right. So here we go. So all I did was back here I made one called Basic Conditional. I right-clicked and I want to say Finish. And now it's going to be there. So notice how I have two projects or two different programs here now. Basic Conditional and Basic Input. I can close this one up or I can leave it open so I can kind of refer over to this program in case I need something. So I want to come into the Basic Conditional. And now I need to add to it a new class. I'm going to make it called Basic Con, meaning Basic Conditional. I want to make sure I put in public static void main. So I'm back to the basic setup stuff. So this time, again, we got the sequential statements, but we're going to just simply add to it a couple of basic things. Again, I'm not going to go over and copy and paste. You could, but get in the habit of typing it out so you can remember. Import java.util.scanner. Now, some of you might be asking me, Mike, why aren't you using star? Why are you using scanner? Well, the reason I'm using scanner instead of star is that's the only library I need. If I put a star to import all of the util library, it actually takes up a lot more memory and a lot more space. So I'm going to be efficient in what I import. Next thing I need to do is put some line comments on here. So this will be end the main method. While you type this out, you tell yourself, hey, a method is a block of executable code. A class contains methods that are related to one another. So this is end class basic con. All right. So then we're going to come in and we're going to do basic setup. And the first thing we're going to do is instantiate our object, instantiate our scanner object. So that's going to be scanner. There we go. Scanner equals KB input. By the way, the input is the identifier. We can change that. Everything else stays the same in this statement. So KB input equals new scanner system.in. I don't know where that came from. Trying to close some stuff off here. Got a lot of fan noise going on. All right. Scanner, SCANNNER equals KB input, no equals sign there. There we go. I'll go back over what's going on here. Scanner, oh, okay. There we go. Scanner, there we go. All right. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to get that input. Try to do it without looking over before. System.out.println. All right. And then if you remember, now we get, oh, we forgot to do the variables. Sorry about that. Double x, double y, double z, and we won't forget average. There we go. Input. And then we're going to say x equals kb input dot next double. We do another one. If I'm typing it, you should be too. Not doing anything you don't know. Try that again. Okay, so that's the end of our input. Now we're going to do output and processing. Because in this case, our processing and our output are going to kind of be intermingled. Right? So, the directions were, if the value of x is either 0 or negative, your algorithm should not compute the average. So let's have a look at this a little bit closer over here. This is our pseudocode. If x is greater than 0, it's got to be greater than, not greater than or equal to, set the value of average to x plus y plus z divided by 3, yada, yada, yada. So let's try that out. Here we go. Okay, so if parenthesis x is greater than 0, curly brackets, perform the following. All right, perform the following. Average equal to x plus y plus z divided by 3. And then we'll do a system dot, a system dot out dot print line as well, right? All right, then we say else. So right here, this curly bracket signifies that everything between here goes with this if statement. If we don't have that, it only executes one item after and then nothing else. All right, so that's why we do it that way. Try taking them out when we're done if you want, so you can see the error that you're going to receive, which I'll do here in a minute. So we'll say else. we go. So else, error, bad data. Now let's run this, and we have to test both paths or both branches. This is a branching operation. If x is greater than 0, do this. If it's less than 0, do this. Let's try it out. You ready? Hold on, I'm running the wrong one. So now we need to come back to basic conditional, right-click, run as Java application. First time we run it, we got to change. So 10, 20, 30. Your average is 13.333. Now once we've already done that, we can click run again. Let's try that. 0, 10, 20. Error, bad data. All right, kind of cool. Now if we wanted, you got to remember, you're in total control. So if we wanted to include 0, we could say if x is greater than or equal to 0. Let's run it that way. Now watch what happens. It's going to accept my data now. 0, 10, 20. Your average is 3.333. So with that one little tweak right there, I was able to make this kind of accept things in. All right? So the last thing that we need to do is we need to learn about a loop. And while I encourage you to copy everything over, what I'm going to do is we'll have a look at, let me make this a little bit bigger, we'll have a look at another one of the sections. So in the book, we go through and we say, let me see if I can find a good one to code. Otherwise, I'm just going to show you. I had these planned in the beginning and now I've forgotten. Okay, rewrite the sequential search algorithm to use the do while, modify the algorithm to want to find the smallest value. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to take and we're going to redo this entire program, only we're going to put it into a loop. So we're going to ask the user, would you like to do this program again, is what we're going to do, okay? So let me show you how this is going to work here. Okay, let me make this a little bit smaller. So I don't have the pseudocode, but it would say do, and then we would encompass the body to create the loop. Whatever we want to keep repeating is what we would put around. So here's a couple different things we need to do, a couple things to think about. What do we want to repeat? What is the continuation condition? All right. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to create a whole new program. I am going to let you copy and paste some of this over if you want, but I would much rather you actually take and type it all back in. But I want to create a new program just so we can do it. So you know what, we're just going to make one all by ourselves here, all on our own. So I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to call it basic loop. Once I've created that basic loop, I need to put a new class in. We're called basic iterative, public static void main. I'm going to come in, I want to say end main method. I'm going to say end class basic iterative. Up at the top, I need to do my importing. Import Java util.scanner. And what I'm going to do is a very basic loop, okay? And I'm going to make it do something like count, all right? So I want to say do system.out.println counter. Okay. And then I'm going to increment counter. All right. Now, here's the thing. I haven't declared counter, so I'm going to say counter. I'm going to make that an integer, counter, and I want to initialize it to 0. So when I put something in right away, that's called initializing. Now, we have the body of our loop. Here's the beginning of our loop. Here's the curly brackets that signify all this stuff goes with the loop, so that's the body. But what I'm missing is the continuation condition. So let's do something simple. Let's do this while counter is less than or equal to 10. All right? And we'll put a semicolon down at the end of that. I'm missing a semicolon up there. Let's go ahead and run our basic loop. Right click, Java application. There it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What if I wanted it to count higher? No problem. I would modify this, make it 1,000, and run it. Now it's going to count to 1,000. There it is. What if I wanted to count by 5s, Mike? No problem. Counter equal counter plus 5. There it is. What if I wanted to count by hundreds, Mike? No problem. Change my counter to 100. Because what if I wanted to count to 1 million? No problem. It's still going to take a while to do that, though, even on a fast machine. You ready? There you go. All right. So that's the basics of a loop. And now what I want to do is I want to go back to that basic conditional, and I'm going to update it a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to come back over here, basic conditional. And what's the body of my loop going to be? Well, all of this I want to repeat over and over. And let's say that I want to allow the user to continue to use my program 5 times. I'm going to keep this kind of simple right now. And then later you can modify this. So I want to make a new variable called counter. And then I'm going to initialize that to 0. And then I want to say do the following, meaning I want to start there and I'm going to end down here. Now watch this. If I double click here, boom, that shows my body. That is the body of my loop. Now, I need to put the continuation condition in. So I'm going to say while counter is less than or equal to 3, let's say. Then I'll put a semicolon, but there's a problem here. This count, first it should be counter, is not incrementing, right? I forgot to increment my counter. So inside of my body, I need to say counter equals counter plus 1. Now what will happen is I can repeat this program 4 times. Oops, wrong thing. Run as Java application. All right. So here we go. 10, 10, 10. That was 1. 20, 20, 20. That was 2. 30, 30, 30. That was 3. 40, 40, 40. That was 4. And now I'm done. Notice how it stopped. What I'll do is down here at the outside of the loop, I'll say system.out.println. Thanks for using my program. Woo-hoo. And I'm going to run it again. I'm going to try it out again. 10, 10, 10, 20, 20, 20, 30, 30, 30, 40, 40, 40, 40. There we go. All right, so that kind of concludes what I want for today. You need to continue to think about this. You need to continue to experiment. Don't be afraid to break things. Don't be afraid to get a little bit more complex if you want. All right. Let me make this a little bit smaller over here. Actually, let me just display that answer or do that all together. So what I do every time I run the program for the first time, you need to right click and run as Java application. And it's going to run that particular program. Right? Then if I wanted to run that same program again, I could just click run at that point. But every time I want to run a different one, I say right click, run as Java application. There we go. All right. Basic loop, run, Java application. Cool. All right. If you have any questions, make sure you email me. Otherwise, that's our lesson for the day. What I need you to do is after you've completed this video and you've created these 3 basic programs, I need you to take screen captures like this. All right. So run. Let me see which one is. Let's start with the basic input. So you run the basic input. Making sure that you have that code displayed. Screen capture. Put it into a Word document. Then run the conditional. Like that. Then make sure you have the code in there. You don't have to have the loop, by the way. You don't have to have that, but have your code showing. Take a screen capture, put it into a Word document. And then for the basic loop, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to right click, run as, Java application. Take a screen capture just like this. Okay? And that's going to be due by Wednesday night at 11:59. I want everybody to have completed this. You do not have to complete this on your own computer. If you failed to get the development environment installed on your own computer, you can certainly do it in the labs. I'll put that in the instructions. I maybe should have mentioned that in the beginning. All right, have a great day.